All right. So about 8 weeks ago, I decided to finally do it, guys. I grabbed a tub of creatine monohydrate from Walmart, literally the cheapest one they had. And I told myself, all right, let's actually give this a fair shot and see if it does anything for me. So I've been lifting for 16 years. Well, actually, well over 16 years now. And honestly, I've never really given creatine a chance. I'm a simple man. I don't like relying on a bunch of stuff. I don't like having to remember to take things. And I definitely don't hype up supplements. There's nothing magic out there. But if there is one supplement that consistently is shown, results in the research, it's creatine monohydrate. So I finally said, why not? Now, real quick, why haven't I taken creatine all these years then? Well, the last time I tried it was way back in high school. I remember grabbing a bottle of what was then called Body Fortress. I'm not even sure if that's a brand anymore in Walmart, but it was this fruit punch version. And, it was the one that was basically half fillers, maybe half caffeine and a bunch of other stuff in it. I remember it tasting horrible. I did maybe one tub of it, maybe two. I don't remember noticing anything at all. I remember, again, hating the taste, and I never touched it again. And since then, all those years, I've trained super consistently. I've slept well, ate really well, and I've been able to stay really strong, get really strong, develop and maintain a really good physique without it. So to me, creatine was always like, meh, not worth the hassle of having to remember to take it or have to pack it when I travel, things like that. But lately, I was getting a lot of questions in the comments here from you all asking, do I take creatine? Have I tried it? Should you take it? Eventually I just said, all right, let me actually test this and give it a real honest answer based on experience instead of, just a theory or, saying that there's research out there, right? So 8 weeks ago, I grabbed a tub from Walmart, just creatine monohydrate. It was an 80 serving bottle. It was like $15 or $16, and I started taking it. So let's talk about how I took it first. You don't have to load creatine, I know that, but I wanted to saturate my muscles faster just to see if I'd feel anything a little bit sooner. So for the first week, I took about 10 to 15 grams a day. Not perfect measurements because the scoop is always a little rounded when I take it. And then after the first week, I took around 5 to 8 grams a day. Again, just like a slightly rounded scoop. Real simple, no timing strategy really, no mixing rules, nothing. Just take it, or I took it sometime during the day and then I would just move on. Oh, and real quick, just so we're all on the same page, so what does creatine actually do? Creatine basically helps your body regenerate ATP faster. ATP is your explosive energy source. It's the fuel for short bursts of strength and power. So in theory, creatine should let you get more reps in a given set, help you maintain higher performance across multiple sets, it give you a slightly fuller look sometimes because it does pull water into your muscle cells. And over time, those extra reps add up to slightly more muscle. So it's definitely not magic or anything crazy like that. It's just an energy system booster, if you will. Now, here's where this whole thing gets a little messy, right? And this is important, very, very important. At the exact time that I started this creatine, I also was coming out of a dieting phase. So I was eating a lot more food, meaning I was going to have more glycogen, more water retention, higher body weight, more energy, better workouts in general. So now I had two different variables changing at the same time, obviously, adding creatine and more calories. And of course, that completely ruins this whole thing. It's not even an experiment anymore at this point. And I never really wanted it to be that way anyways. If I wanted this to be a clean, scientific experiment, I should have kept everything the same except the creatine, but I didn't do that. I didn't want it to be that serious anyways. I just wanted to see how I felt in, a real life situation. So let's talk the changes that I experienced. Did I look fuller? I think so. But was that creatine or the extra calories? I have no idea. When you go from months of dieting to eating more, your glycogen fills out like crazy. You hold more water, your muscles look a bit more pumped, and yeah, you gain some fat too, most likely. I know I did. I've gained maybe around 10 or 12 pounds probably in the last 8 or so weeks. Some of that is definitely fat. Some of it is glycogen and water, and maybe a tiny portion is muscle tissue. And I mean a very small amount. I'm talking grams, maybe ounces of muscle tissue. Now, how much of that possible small amount of muscle tissue that I might have gained was from more food coming in compared to the creatine? Well, there's no way of telling. Performance wise, here's the interesting part. I have been able to add more reps. Like if I used to get, around that 10 to 12 rep range on some weighted deficit push-ups, I notice now that I can get more like that 15 to 18 reps or so. And more importantly, in my second and third sets, I don't drop off as hard as far as my performance goes. Now, again, is that the creatine? Well, could be, but you know what also increases reps? Food. More calories is a massive performance booster. So again, I don't know if those extra reps came from creatine or just from eating more. That's why I'm saying this wasn't a proper experiment. But I did notice performance increases. I just can't confidently say exactly how much to contribute to what factor that those performance increases came from, right? I can tell you that from my past experiences, when coming out of a dieting or cutting phase and then moving into eating more food, that the performance increases I've noticed over the last 8 weeks are very typical of what I've experienced in the past without creatine. So just keep that in mind, guys. One thing this whole thing reinforced for me is this: food matters way more than any supplement ever will. If you're under eating, tired, stressed, dieting really, really hard, your training's going to suffer most likely. When you start eating more, your energy shoots up, your strength goes up, your reps go up, everything gets a little better without any supplements at all. So if someone out there is struggling in the gym and they're thinking creatine is going to fix it, I'd say maybe fix your calories, fix your sleep, fix your recovery and training overall first. Creatine might be a little cherry on top. So now the big question, am I going to keep taking it? Yeah, I am. I'm honestly indifferent about it, but it's cheap, it's safe, it's well researched, and maybe it is helping me a tiny, tiny bit. I just finished that first tub. Went to Walmart yesterday and actually grabbed another one, different brand, but still just creatine monohydrate. I'm gonna keep taking it and see what happens long term, especially as I go into other dieting phases, cutting or maintenance phases, things like that, and see how I feel from it. But I do want to be clear. I don't think creatine is life changing. I mean, I hope I've been clear on that already. I don't think it's magic, and I definitely don't think it replaces good training and good eating. So that's my honest experience with creatine after, 8 weeks. I get it. 8 weeks is a short time as well, but, nothing crazy happened, nothing dramatic, nothing magical, just an honest quote unquote experiment from someone who's been training a long time, eats a simple diet, trains at home, and doesn't rely on a bunch of supplements. So if you want to try it, try it. If you don't, you're definitely not missing out on some magic shortcut. I promise you that. Anyway, I hope this helped clear things up maybe if you've been curious about creatine and if you should take it or not. And also let me know in the comments, do you currently take creatine or have you in the past? And what's been your experience with it? I'd be interested to hear from you. All right, that's it for this one, guys. I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.